Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. Our regional coverage of the Northern Marianas, reporting what you need to know, asking the hard questions, and sharing your voice, your view on the issues that matter in good times and in challenging ones and in changing times. KUAM CNMI, keeping our community at the center because we are better together. On Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. Our regional coverage of the Northern Marianas, reporting what you need to know, asking the hard questions, and sharing your voice, your view on the issues that matter in good times and in challenging ones and in changing times. KUAM CNMI, keeping our community at the center because we are better together.
Okay. Good afternoon. We're calling this brief on the recent homicide case. Unfortunately, our second victim, the female victim, was pronounced deceased yesterday due to blunt force trauma at 8 last night. With me is our Commissioner of Department of Public Safety, along with our Commander of the Criminal Investigation Bureau.
All right. So before we continue, part of this is to inform the public on what has happened and what we know, and also to seek the assistance of the community. We regret again to inform the public that now we are dealing with a double homicide, and our sympathies to the family, whom has arrived this past weekend, the next of kin, and have identified the deceased, the victims in this case. We'll release the photo and the names shortly here, so that because that's part of getting the assistance from the public. Any information, any tip is useful. As you may know, this started with a phone call last Thursday, the 7th of January. I'm sorry, the 4th of January, and and it has developed over the few short days that we have dealt with the case. Our commander for Criminal Investigation Bureau, CIB, has been working long days to see and follow every angle, every possibilities into this double homicide. One thing for sure, I mean, none of us would like to compromise the investigation. It is an active investigation, and there are specific details that clearly we do not want to release, so that to ensure the integrity of the investigation. So again, we will identify the two victims of the case, and then we'll open up actually any specific questions before I continue. So there are two Chinese individuals, and the circumstances about how they Again, it's known that blunt force trauma is the result that led to their death, and the details about how we're pursuing every possible angle. I know the public or a few out there have their own theories, and we want to make sure that one thing for sure is that we're following every angle, every tip is useful, and to ensure that we reach a closure in the case. We're working on, again, every day to make sure that we bring closure to the family, and also that the community feels safer out there. Cappy, wanna?
Sure, we'll take questions.
And so last we spoke, Sergeant Presato said there were no suspects. Where are we at now at this point in the investigation?
There are several persons that we're looking at this point in time.
And can you disclose the relationship of the next of kin who is on island that confirmed the identity?
No, I cannot disclose that.
Can you disclose if you've already determined if there was a murder weapon in this case?
We can disclose that there was a weapon used.
Okay. And can you tell us how you possibly found it?
Not at this time.
When you say you're looking at certain people, does that mean you've implemented like a travel ban, or is there a way to prevent
Negative.
anyone from
Not
leaving?
at this time. We've identified several persons of interest, and that's what we have for now.
And any update on working with a medical examiner and also potentially sending any fingerprints off for analysis?
Yes, we're in the process of sending them off, and the medical examination just concluded a few minutes ago.
And can you confirm, was that Dr. Jeffrey Nine, who conducted that medical examination?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, where was this examiner from?
From here.
From here, locally?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you disclose if there was any motive, if you've determined a motive yet?
Not at this point.
So do you have the autopsy or?
Not
it
at this.
done?
We don't have the autopsy yet.
But it's done.
It just recently got done.
For our local doctors.
Yes.
And then one thing I want to follow up on that wasn't as clear at the first press conference, it was said that there were no tenants in the building at the time. Does that mean that this couple was the only one living in that building? Or
Yes.
now they're the only ones living in that
Yes.
apartment building?
Yes.
Okay.
Was there a case that previously, before this actual incident, they were the tenants or the two couple, the victims, actually called for police assistance beforehand, 2 weeks before?
Yes, there was.
And what was the incident, or what was the nature of the call?
It was a break-in.
So there was a previous break-in, right?
Yes.
They reported.
2 weeks prior to Thursday?
I can't go into the date.
Are you suspecting that's connected to this double homicide?
There's a possibility.
Could you disclose if we've determined yet if it was a break-in or not?
We've determined that it was a break-in.
It was.
Yes.
Did you determine if anything was stolen, or was it was?
Yes.
Okay.
This one, the new one, or the previous one?
The previous.
On the previous one, there was a
this
break-in.
one.
The previous
But this one, the new, where we find the 2 weeks, and you can't.
Not at
no,
this
no.
time. Yeah, sorry about that.
So to clarify, that wasn't a break-in. It wasn't determined to be a break-in. This homicide was not caused by a break-in.
I think what you're saying is,
The motive behind it?
were they there to steal, or were
Yeah,
they there targeted?
I can't disclose that information.
Because at the last press conference, it was said that the building's so dilapidated, it's difficult to
Yes.
determine if it was broken into. So is that statement still stand today from DPS?
Yes, it does.
Do the couple, the victims, do they have any sort of prior police record?
Yes.
What was the nature of their record?
One of them was brought in for illegal drugs.
The male or the female?
The male.
Do you have any priors on the female Vic, or just the male?
Not at this time on the female.
Was the male prosecuted for that?
I can't disclose
He didn't
that.
serve any time?
Yeah, not at this time.
So, Cap, your investigation rules out domestic violence between the two victims.
At this point, yes.
So where do we go from here?
We are, like I said, we are still, the investigation is still active. There are persons that we're looking at.
Can you disclose how many?
More than one.
Do you think there was more than one person in the residence that night?
Yes.
Have you heard anything from the neighborhood? I know it's a little bit isolated on that street, but have you heard anything from the Finisisa residents?
We're hoping that when we put out this information, we'll get more feedback.
Did any of your leads come from tips from the community, or was
Not-
this solely from
not
your
yet.
research?
Yeah, not yet. So we're kind of hoping that when you folks help us put out this information, we'll get more deeds.
So the suspects came from you guys' own investigation.
Yes.
What kind of information is helpful? Timelines, like when do you think a car may have passed by, or what are some things that you that the community can help with?
Early morning on that day, we'll provide a release outlining everything that
That you know, or
we
that
can release.
that can
yes.
help.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, so good question, Chris, because we'll kind of establish kind of the scenario so that so people that may be in the area have heard about it, so they can actually kind of space and timing, can recall that day, any incidents prior to, so that the any details, right, things that we just shrug off as unimportant may be added to something, to the bigger puzzle, so that we can actually develop and strengthen our investigation, so that again, we all want to close this case as much as we want. At the same time, we want to some form of closure for the family and the community, to feel that it is still safe out there. But there will be clearly some hesitancy from the people, right? Because this has become a double homicide. So it's a hit on our community, and we're dedicating the officers and detectives to look into this. So that's how much commitment we have into ensuring the safety of our community.
Do you feel like this was targeted, or that there's a possibility that it was random?
That's exactly what we're looking into, whether it was a random, maybe another break-in, or it was more deliberate and ordered or planned out.
So, I'm sorry, I heard from sources that the family also came to take the woman out of life support. Did she die because of her injuries, or did they pull her out of life support? Do you know?
I think what we know is that she was pronounced dead at
Yes.
8:01 p.m. last night, and it's because of in conjunction or as a result of the injuries from the crime scene.
And any developments on what you believe the weapon to be?
When we have something more concrete that we can share, we will.
Because that might be helpful if it was.
Yes.
Someone might come across it if it was left out.
Right.
Any federal help coming with this sort of case?
Yes, we have our federal partners that are also involved in the background.
What kind of role do they help with? Are you guys looking at cell phone
Exactly.
towers, things
Yes.
like that?
Border crossings, departures, arrivals, stuff like that.
There was a guy arrested in Palau last week who was wanted on a warrant or jumped bail here. Have you guys figured out how he was able to travel?
According to the system, he probably traveled by boat, because there was no indication in our system here that he departed by plane.
Is it difficult because is there facial recognition used, or things that would prevent someone from using somebody else's passport?
There, our federal partners are saying it might have been a fake passport that he could have used.
Is it easier to leave here than come in here?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, given that statement, what is being done to make sure whoever is responsible for this doesn't leave, if they haven't already?
Good question. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now.
Do you have pictures or anything at the border, at the airport, of people of interest that you would want questioned before they leave?
No,
No, not at this
no,
time.
not this time. No.
But the persons of interest, you've made contact and you know where they're at, or have you yet to?
We are preparing to make contact.
Okay. You haven't talked to a single person of interest yet.
Not at this time.
Any specific car you're looking for?
We'll put everything into that summary, the brief, and then we'll present it to you guys.
Is that we're gonna get that today?
Yes.
Okay. You think they came by car to the residence?
We believe they got picked up by a car.
Do you think it was drug related? Is that kind of what you're looking at?
That's what it's kind of leaning into.
What makes you believe there was a getaway car involved from your investigation?
It's what we've gathered
From who?
from our investigation. I cannot disclose anything further because that's all we have. Yeah.
And I did want to follow up. I believe there have been a number of cold cases in terms of the homicides and the CNMI. So when do you decide if a case goes cold?
When we've exhausted all measures and all parts of our investigation on that case.
And do you have anything to add in terms of how the past homicides and how they would possibly be reopened or investigated again or solved?
What we're trying to coordinate with the Crime Stoppers is to reintroduce some of the circumstances of those cold cases so that hopefully people can, recall where they were at that particular time and maybe call in and give us information.
And we're live on KUM Facebook. Can you just remind our viewers again, if they have a tip, how should they make contact with authorities?
Sure. As we continue with the investigation, we plead to our community, if they have any information and would like to remain anonymous, they can always call our Crime Stoppers at 234-7272. We are offering a $1,000 reward for any information that may lead to an arrest, in this case or any other cases. If it could.
I guess, is there anything else you would like to share about the investigation that you haven't mentioned yet?
We're gonna put all of it into that brief, for sure.
How many personnel do you have working in the case right now?
We have our entire investigation unit for the first 72 hours, so that's about 20 personnel.
And then drops off a little bit
Yes.
after that.
Yes.
Or is the apartment being monitored, or what's?
Yes, we have personnel there that are currently securing the scene.
And Chief, any message to the community who might be, understandably anxious because of this news?
Yes, we're asking for the community's patience. This is something that we want to deliberately look into and thoroughly investigate. And then at the same time, we're asking for your assistance. Again, any tip, any word, any thoughts, you can do it anonymously through Crime Stoppers. You can drop a mail or notify somebody. Everybody knows a cop. And let us know, because this is our community. We want our community to be safe, and the best way to do that is to help each other and build that safety net around our community.
On Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. Our regional coverage of the Northern Marianas, reporting what you need to know, asking the hard questions, and sharing your voice, your view on the issues that matter in good times and in challenging ones and in changing times. KUAM CNMI, keeping our community at the center because we are better together.